warning right now, spoilers. If you haven't beaten the campaign, don't listen to this. Unless you want spoilers and you're not going to play it. If you're not going to play it, we both would advise you go play it because it's a real good campaign.
The story itself was so gripping that it's not hard for you to be playing the campaign in the sense of, oh, here we go. We got another drag of a mission here. Every mission that they were putting after the other, you were like, okay, I see where the story's going here. All right, I'm excited to see where it goes next. I would say overall with the missions, there wasn't really a lot of dead space in the missions. I didn't feel like any of them were kind of pointless missions. Every mission that they had in there had a purpose, and I could see what they were talking about in the mission briefing actually come to fruition. I know that sounds kind of obvious, but from what we had last year where I was very confused as what we were doing in missions, this was very, very good. Treyarch cooked on this one.
Welcome everyone to episode 196 of the COD Casuals. We're your host, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, bro. Had the day off today. Celebrate Veterans Day. So I was happy about that. Shout out to veterans. So yeah, it was nice. But I swear to God, bro, it's always when I have days off that I've got the most stuff to be doing. That's not that's not just me chilling. So it's always a bummer, but it's like it's always just good things to like get taken care of. You know, I got to do around the house or just whatever life stuff. But I did get to play this morning for a bit, so that was fun. I had some of my best games early on, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm finally getting it." And the skill base kicked in, and then I went like I think one of the games I went like 38 and 51. Came across my first master prestiger.
Oh wow.
I couldn't even, dude. I just was looking at it and I was like, what? Like it didn't make any sense because it was still 55, but he changed his icon to like the Black Ops 1 first prestige emblem. Yeah. I was like, no, thank you.
Oh, so this person wasn't even like 56.
No, I don't know if it's a glitch or not,
Mm-hmm.
but it may have been because I did see something this morning and it was like a note from some guy, I guess, who's Master Prestige. And he's like, just a heads up that when you get to Master Prestige, you can only once you change your icon, you can't change it back to the Master Prestige icon, like with the dogs, you know, or whatever it is. He's like, you can't go back to that. Which I think that's just a weird glitch. I would be very surprised if they don't fix that
Yeah.
as time goes on, because it's like, you know, you should be able to change your icon at any time to whatever prestige you want. But honestly, I think it's because there's only been like I don't even know how many people out in the world have hit Master Prestige already, but it's probably not at the top of their priority list, you know, for
Well,
glitches to be fixing.
yeah. I mean, I'd imagine that that's definitely not at the top of their
No.
list to fix. I mean, there's probably a good amount of people that's already master
Yeah.
prestige, but um, yeah. Well, I was wondering more about like the level thing, like
Yeah, because I thought it's
if there,
56, right? Yeah.
yeah,
It
because
was weird.
you can't like change a prestige icon to like second prestige or third prestige until you hit like level 200 and then 300, 400, and so on.
Yeah, see, then that's what maybe I don't fully understand is that I thought when you hit Master Prestige, you can change your prestige icon to any of the other prestige icons from this
Yeah,
COD.
yeah. From this
But
COD, you
then
can, yeah.
once you hit 100, then it's like, okay, and I think it was like that in Cold War, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Once you hit 100, you can buy any of the prestige icons from the other CODs, but it's only the first prestige icon, you know, or you like unlock those. And then 200, you get to the,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
you don't need to buy them in this. You just unlock like all of the
yeah.
second prestige, all the third, and whatever. But yeah, I haven't ran into anyone that's even like close to that. So
He was unbelievable.
I was gonna say if he was good or not.
Yeah, he dropped like 85 kills
Yeah.
in Nuketown. Yeah, he was disgusting. His title was like the I don't know how crazy it is, but it must have been the one that you get for getting a nuke
Mhm.
in the game or getting a nuclear medal. Um, yeah, the guy was gross. I mean,
Yeah.
he was like I didn't stand a chance. I think I did kill him like 2 or 3 times,
Mhm.
you know, and I was like, "You." But yeah, he was pissing me off. He wasn't with anybody though, I don't believe. If he was solo queuing,
Mhm.
well, I think he was solo queuing. If he was with a party, I mean, the rest of his party was horrendous,
Yeah.
he pretty much he backpacked that entire team,
Mhm.
you know? So, yeah, that was quite a roller coaster this morning, but
Yeah.
whatever. But how's your day been, bro?
Pretty good. I mean, I didn't have today off, unlike everybody else in the world, most likely, or everyone
Yeah,
in America, I'll say. I got back from work and then hopped on and started recording, basically. So,
there you go.
but yeah, our main topic for today is going to be the campaign because both you and I beat the campaign over the weekend,
Mhm.
and it was definitely a much better campaign than last year's campaign. We can already start off with that. But we're going to go through, break down, things that we like, things that we don't like about the campaign, but overall our experience of this whole story. Because you and I were pretty excited about this campaign because Treyarch usually they always do a good job with their campaign and storyline and the setting of this game too. So, I mean, I don't think we don't need to go like mission by mission or anything because there's like a bunch of in-depth walkthroughs, like in actual walkthroughs, if you guys want to go and listen to that. But we're gonna keep it pretty, straightforward. But I mean, dude, overall, I beat the campaign yesterday, and I think I was like about halfway through when I like picked it up again and played, and it was fantastic. Like
Yeah.
going through everything again. Um, and the overall experience of the campaign much better compared to MW3. Definitely things I will get into that I didn't really agree with, but overall, this was a solid campaign.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I will say I was almost ready to not talk about the campaign today because I know you were busy on Saturday. We were at your place, and then on Sunday, I'm like, I'm sure he's got stuff that he's had to put off, and of course, like editing. And I was like, dude, if you don't want to do it, like if you're strapped for time, like we can go and talk about something else, no problem. And you're like, no, I'm getting it done. Like I'm gonna bang this out. I was like,
Yeah.
all right. And then yeah, dude, to your word, you did. So I give you credit. Um, yeah, but how easy was it though? Like how fun, you know?
Yeah. I
Like the
mean,
story was good.
yeah, the story was good. I mean, for every COD campaign, I play on regular difficulty. I don't play on veteran. Like I know some people like the realism and stuff. Uh, I'm a big person on like you got to play the game on regular because that's how the developer made it. So, and that's the best way to just enjoy the experience. So, I mean, I think every COD campaign for the most part, if you play multiplayer a lot, it's kind of just a walkthrough. Like you kind of
Yeah.
breeze through it, but it's all about like immersing yourself in the campaign and you know what they're trying to walk you through and stuff.
Yeah, and I would edit what I said before about the easy part because what I mean by that is the story itself was so gripping that it's not hard for you to be playing the campaign in the sense of, oh, here we go. We got another
Hmm.
drag of a mission here. It's like every mission that they were putting after the other, you were like, okay, I see where the story's going here.
Hmm.
Like, all right, I'm excited to see where it goes next. So you could in a sitting easily bang out a whole bunch of missions. Um, and I would say overall with the missions, because there were 11 missions, I felt like there wasn't really a lot of dead space in the missions. Like there were some, I didn't feel like any of them were kind of weightless or they were just like really pointless missions. Every mission that they had in there had a purpose, and I could see like what they were talking about in the mission briefing actually come to fruition in the gameplay, and then set up the next mission, which I know that sounds kind of obvious, but from what we had last year where I was very confused as what we were doing in missions, this was it was very, very good.
Yeah, there wasn't like you said the dead space. It wasn't there, and I think Treyarch did a really good job of integrating like new things that they wanted to add and try out, but they gave us a little taste of it. Like it wasn't too much when they added. Um, like for example, the open, you know, Warzone type missions that we talked about in MW3 that just those sucked because it was just so wide open. The map was so big. And in this, there were a couple of those missions kind of like that, but the map was so small and confined and it was quick. Like you weren't spending like half an hour to an hour on it. You can go through, get these missions done, and then you're on to like the main mission. Um, and they integrated it into like the main mission, which was cool. So, but I guess like let's just start off with the the whole story of this game. So, warning right now, spoilers. If you haven't beaten the campaign, don't listen to this.
Yeah.
Unless you want spoilers and you're not going to play it. If you're not going to play it, we both would advise you go play it because it's a real good campaign.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say, the overall story is there's this biological weapon that the CIA had called the Cradle, and this was like a really cool concept. We'll like go into this, but it was held by this evil group, the enemy called the Pantheon, and we as our the shadow operators go in and basically try to retrieve this biological weapon, the Cradle, from the CIA, so it's not released into the world, killing everyone. Um, and there was an insider in the CIA that was like producing this Cradle, basically being a traitor to the U.S. So that was the whole premise of the story, I would say. Um, and I think this is just very typical, like Call of Duty, in the shadows. And okay, we got to get these group of people together and take this operation down without letting any of the American people know.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it was pretty much all about the whole cradle thing, which didn't really start right off the rip because it kind of came like I would say about halfway through the game. That's where they figured out that was the whole, revolving plot of the game. Because when I first started, I thought it was going to be about that guy, Daniel Livingston, who I
Hmm.
don't know, he's like the head of the CIA, but I thought they were trying to pin him down because they didn't like him.
Hmm.
But then they brought back Russell Adler. So like the first mission, you save him. He says something about Frank Woods. What does he say? The bishop and the roar. What does it say? The bishop and rook, or something like that. Um, and then you're like, okay, we assemble this team. Let's figure out what he was talking about. And then that's when you find out that he was doing some work trying to figure out about Pantheon,
Hmm.
um, which I thought that was cool. And then again, having him brought back into the story and like continuing the work with this team, which by the way, all new characters that they added in there, in the main story, which I thought was really cool because the guy that you play as, Case,
Hmm.
he doesn't talk at all. Um, you never see his face or anything, which I thought was kind of interesting. But you got that guy Troy Marshall, Frank Woods, your guy Case, Adler's back, and then you've got the other girl Sev, and then the I don't even what you would call him, that guy Felix.
The like, yeah, technician engineer
Yeah,
guy. Yeah.
yeah. So all new characters, and they did such a good job of actually fleshing these characters out and
Hmm.
having them, seem like an actual team that it wasn't cringe, it wasn't like any weird moments. Like they actually seemed like a good group.
Hmm.
Um, and they all flowed together so well in the missions. Yeah, but we'll get to that the twist at the end of the game, which I was not expecting at all.
Hmm.
Um, I thought it was I thought it was pretty amazing how they just kind of did that out of nowhere. I was actually like one of the first times in a COD campaign where I was playing, I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
shit." Like I was very much surprised by it. I thought it was going to be, pretty bland,
Hmm.
or like pretty like, average, just like, okay, got some cool things here and then eventually we're going to find out who the leader of Pantheon is. We're going to kill them and then save the day. And
Hmm.
that's not really what happened at all.
Yeah, yeah. And like the so like you said, the beginning of the game when you're building this team, right? Like I think Treyarch did a good job portraying that okay, Livingston, like whoever the director of the CIA, uh, is the bad guy. So like you're thinking about that the whole time, and then assembling, your team uh, in each mission too, which is what I like that there was a mission dedicated to getting your team together. Um, but I will say about the Adler thing. So this takes place after Cold War. Somehow Adler didn't die. We didn't kill him. Um,
Right.
Treyarch doesn't need to give us a reason why, but he's alive for whatever reason because we didn't kill him in the tank somehow. But
Oh, no, Adler doesn't die in the tank, that's the other guy, you're thinking of from MW3. You're
the I thought it was Adler, was it not?
No, I can't remember what that guy's name was. The way Cold War ends is with those 2 guys, like, facing off with each other,
Oh shoot,
with
yeah, you're
Adler and
right.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you're
and
right.
then it goes black screen,
Hmm.
and then you're like, "Did Adler kill your character, or did you
Yeah,
kill Adler?"
so you
So
died.
I guess that answers that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Um.
that guy ain't coming back more than likely.
Well, okay, that makes more sense then. But
Yeah,
we do know that Adler is. I mean, he is a traitor to
yeah.
the U.S. in general. Well, not the U.S., just within the CIA.
Yeah, his whole role in the game is very strange because he's got this, like, I don't know. He obviously works with them and he was, like, very important to them at some point. Um, but he's kind of like this rogue agent.
Soldier. Yeah,
Um,
like I yeah, he's just a soldier. Like you tell him what to do, and he'll get it done any means necessary, not thinking about repercussions.
yeah, I think that's kind of the whole basis of him.
Hmm.
Um, and then this whole thing you can go into more, like what I think is cool. He said was assembling the team and having those missions because it makes you feel connected to them. And they actually have some background on them. And I like how that interrogation in the beginning ends and they're like, "Yeah, fuck you. Like, we're not going to be dealing with you guys." And your guy Troy's just like, "Whatever. We're just gonna go and we're gonna stick with this mission. We'll just do it off the books,
Hmm.
and if I lose my job, I lose my job, like, whatever."
Hmm.
I like that whole setup to it. It's not like they're just randomly all of a sudden, like, this team's assembled and you're like, "Okay, how did we get here? What is the"
Hmm.
you know what I mean? They didn't leave a lot of questions unanswered.
Yeah, it wasn't like the Vanguard campaign where you get this hodgepodge of just random soldiers all
Right,
together, and they're all like being interrogated and almost killed. But
right.
yeah, and then so once you get the team together, like you said, they end up going to the Rook, which is the payback house. Yeah, payback.
Mhm.
And that's where like your main hub is, that old house. And I like how you have to go and create, your workbench, your like training facility, and then an area where you get all your perks. I like how they introduced all that. I mean, that's been in a couple other CODs too, but I think the way they did it in this game was it was just very simple. You didn't need to think too hard about this. And Woods just came to you and said, "Collect money. This is your
Right.
this is a way you build up your character." And I don't know, like probably in the other difficulties, you would feel it more, but I didn't really upgrade all that much, and you could go through the whole campaign without really upgrading anything, to be honest. It probably would just be slightly harder, but on regular, it was completely fine.
Yeah, I agree. I bought everything from Frank, like, those 3 stations. I bought them, but I never used them.
Mhm,
I just bought them because I was like, "Well, I might as well. I have a bunch of cash here." Um, but yeah, this is one of those mechanics that it's cool that they're doing it, but they don't want it to have it be something where it gets in the way of the campaign, where people are complaining about a mission and being like, "Oh, well, if you go back to your base and you upgrade this thing, then you have to go buy X thing and then it'll
mhm,
make it easier." That's like too many steps for a COD campaign.
mhm.
I kind of find it as it's just an amendment. Like, it'll help, and it'll make things, maybe a little bit more exciting or better for you, but like you said, it's not really necessary at all. I think they could have been fine without it.
Yeah, yeah, and, like, it takes away from the experience if you're just hunting for money the whole time when, you're in the middle of a mission. But, yeah, like, though I used all 3 of them for the most part, but I upgraded, like, my armor, so I had 3 plates and, like, faster reload time, and, every time I put on a plate, it was worth 2 plates instead of 1.
Mhm.
So, it was just things like that. Other than that, didn't really upgrade all that much. Uh,
Right.
but I like that they added that, but they didn't force you to revolve the whole campaign and like the way that you play to search for money to build up your character.
Right, which I think in the end is a good thing. Um, I think the main purpose, if I had to guess, was it just makes that base feel more like a base. You know, like you got this house and you're like, these rogue, soldiers. It's like, okay, we want to go and upgrade this and make things better. And just for the people too who are completionists, it's something else that you can kind of add into it instead of it having being such a super linear campaign, which COD always is. I think this is a nice thing. It's the same thing with the mission types where there are these huge open worlds and
Mhm.
there's 2 or 3 other objectives that you can do. You don't have to do them, but I do like how they give you that option that if you wanna go above and beyond, you can, and it's like, will you benefit massively from it? Probably not, but it's just a cool thing to give people, more to do in a COD campaign.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you can beat all these missions without upgrading much, but I'd imagine if you had a bunch of cash and just upgraded all your perks, you would be just a super fast like juggernaut soldier. You
Right.
know, like it would just be smoother. It's like having specialist.
Yeah.
But
So, well, I was gonna say really quick because at the end of the game, when you go to the last mission and they're like, "Oh, there's no turning back. Like, if you want to do any of your upgrades to the house now, you can."
mhm,
I was like, "Oh man!" Like, I don't know. I was like, "I don't know, whatever." And then, sure enough, like, there's a whole battle that happens at the house, and
mhm,
I was thinking to myself, I mean, I beat it no problem, but I was thinking, I wonder if I upgraded everything or like did other things to the house. Like, is there anything you could do to make this fight easier
mhm.
or not? You
Uh,
know?
I mean, like I didn't upgrade everything, but I upgraded like the stuff that would help you, like in multiplayer. Like my
Right.
reload was quicker. The armor was nice. Um, my ADS was faster, but you still have to shoot and like kill the enemies.
Right.
I don't think it would have helped like an insane amount. It made killing the enemies a lot easier. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
I just on that mission, won't go into it, but like I just used a sniper literally the whole time and just picked off everyone.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so both you and I would agree like the lead up forming the team with Adler, Woods, Troy, Troy Marshall, Case, Sev, and then Felix.
Hmm.
That's like the crew. And then you texted me one day and was like, dude, the mission I just played. And um at that time, I don't think I started the campaign yet. Um, but I think I started it like the day after or something. Besides the point. As I started playing it, and then uh I was home alone, like when I started the campaign, right?
Yeah.
Home alone with the dog, and it was like late at night, like 11 o'clock. And yeah, 11 12. And I got to this mission with Troy Marshall and US Case, and you're going up this elevator, and I'm like, this is just classic COD. What, this elevator's gonna snap and you're gonna fall, right? Guess what? That happens. They're going to get this biological weapon that they didn't know what it was called yet. So
Hmm.
that happened. They had gas masks. I'm like, shit. Like, here we go. All right. Elevator snaps. You're alone. There's gas everywhere and it's just dark. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And immediately I'm like, this is what Mike's talking about. This
Yeah.
has to be it. And I would say that's the first mission in this campaign where like the mood switch completely. Like the first other couple missions are, you know, getting your team together and it's your classic COD mission where you go through and just wreak havoc, you know,
Right.
on everyone and then get your people. Then you get to this one and it was just way more eerie, like, and
Yeah.
dark, and probably didn't help that I was playing it late at night alone. I was like, "God, this is kinda creepy and scary." And I had I had my headset on, and I was, like, going through, and you could hear, like, things knocking down. I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" You know?
Hmm.
And, your character's slow. You don't even have you don't have a weapon either. I'm like, fuck this. I hate that in games. I don't play horror games, and I wouldn't say it's horror or anything, but it got sketchy at times. Um, but this whole mission was to find out, the cradle, the biological weapon, and this was Treyarch's way of introducing zombies into this game, which I thought the way that they introduced it was super, super cool because you weren't technically a zombie. You were just hallucinating that the world and everything around you is zombies. And the way that Treyarch like portrayed that whole mission, it was awesome. Like that was the Treyarch way, and I wasn't um, surprised how well they executed it. And this was like a good example of it was kind of like the Warzone map where it's like sort of big, and then you have like multiple objectives that you have to get done. But Treyarch just executed it way better than Sledgehammer last year.
Yeah, no, totally. Starting out with that zombies mission, I mean, same thing. I think I had told you there was a kid at school who was telling me about this. He's like, "Dude, there's zombies in the campaign. Like, you have to do this." And I'm over here the entire time. I'm
Mhm,
like, "Bro, don't tell me anything. I don't want to hear it." But he said that I was like, "Dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you're completely out of your mind. Like zombies in the campaign, what?" And then I started that mission and then actually went through it and was like, like mind blown that they were able to pull that off and that I was even doing this. I'm like, what am I doing right now fighting zombies in this campaign?
mhm,
But like you said, it actually worked out really well. It made sense. That whole mission was insane to
mhm,
begin with. Like being in that, I think it's some facility, like again, where they were having the cradle.
mhm.
Um,
Like underground, deep underground.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you had to get all these, these cards, like the director's cards or whatever, in order to access an elevator. And you
Mhm,
got to fight all these bosses, and they're
mhm.
all like the Mangler, and then one of them was the mannequin one, and then there were the other two. I can't remember what they were, but well, there was that one with like the three heads or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. They're
It
all
just
they're all the zombie.
zombies
Yeah, yeah,
bosses, yeah,
yeah.
which was a total trip. Getting the grapple hook again was sick.
Mhm,
I was, like, back in my BO4 days, I was, like, loving it, I was grappling around and everything. It was sick. Um, yeah, that was just a really, really good mission. Creepy mission for sure, I would say.
mhm,
Um, but on your other point too about these open world things, which I think that's probably one of the bigger points about Call of Duty in just the past 2 titles where last year they did this and we talked about it in the review, said it was awful. Still stand by that. This it was still it was my least favorite missions in the game. However, you could tell that they put way more effort into these. And I think one big thing that was like dumb and it's overlooked is the fact that they give you a map.
mhm,
So you know where you're going or there's like they had a lot of other objectives like the one we're thinking of when before you go to Saddam's um like compound, you know? And then you're like in that whole open world desert having to
mhm.
I can't even remember what you have to actually do. I think it's those SAM turrets or like
Yeah,
those
you have
rockets
to
you have to blow up.
yeah, the rockets and the, satellites. But
Right.
you could go and do other stuff that kinda just, like, helped out.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I was like, let's see
Mhm,
what they got. And some of it was actually pretty cool. Like one of them having to save these guys in a chopper. Um, and you did that, and they're like, "Oh, if you ever need air support, like, we've got you." And
mhm,
I was like, "Oh, no bullshit." Like, yeah, it's actually really cool. Because then there was one of those sites, where I had to go and, blow up the rocket,
mhm,
and I've been playing this mission for a while. I died so many times on that helicopter rescue mission. I was so pissed. I was over this mission, and I was like, "Can I just call in a cruise missile really quick on this?" So I did.
mhm,
I was just like, I don't even know how many hundreds of meters away, but just pull out the laptop, cruise this thing, and then that was it. And I drove back to the base. I'm like, "Thank God." I didn't have to go in there
mhm,
and kill like 30, 40 people, get into some huge gunfight. Um, so yeah, I like how they added a map. They gave you more objectives and more reason to explore. And yeah, it's a bit of a break from the normal, just, linear Call of Duty missions that we've
mhm,
had. Um, but I don't know. I would skip those missions again. I
mhm.
still like it's an improvement, but it's still not something that I really care to be playing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, like, I just like the linear missions because we like to follow the story more. And I think
Yeah,
the missions where it is more like open world, it takes you out of the experience a little bit. But again,
absolutely.
like I said, Treyarch did a really good job with this where uh they gave us a map. But I think the big thing is these maps weren't huge. In MW3, they gave you a map, but like you have to travel so far to do a bunch of stuff. Like to
Mm,
your point with the desert one, I opened that map. I'm like, oh my god, this thing's huge. And then I actually started like driving around. It wasn't actually that big. And the thing too is they let you fast travel right away, which Treyarch knowing, all right, some people want to get all this stuff done. They probably don't want to like get back in the Jeep and drive all the way back, get to a checkpoint and then drive somewhere else again. They just want to get the mission done and then fast travel right out of there, which is what
right.
I did the majority of the time. And I appreciated that. And going back to that cradle mission, they put an actual objective on all of them and they made every like objective in that mission actually cool and like
Yeah,
going about it. And like you said, everyone was like slightly different based on whatever zombie boss I'd get to go and fight. But like I just applaud Treyarch that they know that zombies is ours. We have to implement it somehow into the game, and the way that they did it was awesome because for zombie fans, I would say that the fact that they introduced it into the campaign and it's not real actually just you know opens up a question for what's happening with zombies after it
right,
like what is this cradle like obviously zombies if you go and play it technically the cradle got out you know and everybody thinks they're zombies or whatever
right.
but that mission too uh there's just mannequins everywhere and I was like what the fuck is this like I don't like this and you could hear just little like scuffles. And these mannequins are moving. And you're like, what is happening? And like I hated this. Like if you turned your back and you stayed a little bit and then turn back around, some of them would just move slightly,
Right.
And I don't know. I think this was the first time in like a COD campaign where I'm like, okay, this is freaky. This is really freaky. I don't like this. I'm gonna try to get this like mission completely over. And I told you there's one part in that mission where you have to collect 4 records and like put them
Yep.
inside these like envelopes, and you have to hold square. And every time you go and sit there, for some reason, the square like takes like a couple seconds to load. And I got hit from behind, and like I freaked out, like I jumped and
Yeah.
then turned around and like killed the mannequins. And that mission, I was like, "Come on, hurry up! I gotta get this done before the
Yeah.
zombies come and get me." Yeah, I liked how they implemented that, and they just did a really good job with it.
Yeah, they did. And especially too during that whole thing, that's when you find out that Case is uh he's called Case because he's the first case of the cradle,
Hmm.
like being experimented on. You're hearing all those voices and everything, and like that whoever that woman is that's talking to him, which I was like mind blown by that. I was always wondering why his name was Case,
Hmm.
and they never called him anything else. I was like, it's kind of strange. But and especially too when they mention at some point they talk about the cradle, they say that, and then he has all the
Yes.
numbers and like some weird reaction to it. And then I put it together. I was like, oh, dude, like he was experimented on with this stuff,
Hmm.
and somehow he's normal, you know, which
Subsystem.
I don't understand how that happens because when they go after that, it's the next mission. Felix he deciphers that floppy disk, and that's where that insane breakdown is, where they're at some prison
Hmm.
or I don't even know, it's like some lab, and they release the cradle to the person, and they become like an insane super soldier, like trying to kill this person, you know. And then that's where you see Jane in the cell or like behind the glass
Hmm.
being like, good work. Like, all in on it.
Mhm.
I was mind blown by this.
Yeah.
I was like, "What the
That
fuck?"
that was a flip, yeah. And
Yeah,
so Jane Harrow or Harrow, whatever you however you say it, she, is supporting you in the beginning of the game with Troy Marshall, and she's, like, defending you, against Livingston. Um, and she's like, go and, do your missions undercover, won't say anything, just don't get yourselves killed. And meanwhile, this whole time, all of us think Livingston's a bad guy over here.
right.
And then Jane actually experimented on like you case with this thing. And she was the one that was like, you need to make this stronger. This biological weapon needs to be even worse. And I guess, case us like we're the super soldier, like we were subject to one and we were able to control it and other people ended up dying. So that's why we're special.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, the thing that I don't understand with it, and they didn't really answer this question, is how long she had a role in this. Like, if this is something new because of, like, I don't know, like, did this switch happen during the game, or was she just playing nice? Because I thought we were safe with her because you could tell for sure that her and Troy had some sort of relationship,
Mhm.
So I'm like, "Okay, we're cool. There's no problem with her. Fuck this guy Livingston."
Yeah.
And then that happens, and, like, Troy goes, he's like, "Turn it off," and he, like, throws his chair and everything, and then the dramatic music, I'm like, "Oh, damn, it
Yeah.
just got real." Um, and I guess they find out that where she was in Vorkuta, which I was like, "Here we go."
Mhm.
Like, we're back in it. Um, and that whole mission, that was another one that was one of those open world where you're playing as Sev.
Mhm.
Um, I thought that mission was pretty cool. I like how you dress up as a person, like as one of the soldiers. And then you're just kind of, doing your thing,
Mhm.
fucking with everything that they got. Um, that was a tough mission though, because they had so many like once you got into the facility,
Yeah.
all the bosses that you had, like all those the juggernauts was insane.
Mhm.
Um, but again, that was a trip to actually, like, I don't think what's the part in there? You go up the ladder and then you get kicked in the face or something, and
Mhm.
then there she is, and then she gets murked,
Mhm. Yeah,
and then
that
you go and you
yeah.
take her hostage. I
Mhm.
was like, "Here we go."
Yeah. That was definitely that was like the last 2 missions where you end up
Yeah.
getting to Jane, but,
Oh,
um
I'm missing the casino mission, bro.
yeah, the casino mission.
I
That
almost
was
forgot about it.
well, once, Troy, figures out, Jane's up to this, they do everything they can to, get the cradle from her because she knows where it is, and that casino mission, dude, like, I just love when that entire team, like, you're just switching from character to character, doing
Yeah,
different things in the mission to make sure everything's, in line.
right.
But, that mission specifically, dude, the I messed up one part, the restricted area.
Yeah.
I went in, it was like to pickpocket a guy next to the bar for his, like, key card or whatever. I'm
Yep.
like, What am I supposed to do? Just walk up to this dude?"
Right.
And, then I realized, "Oh, okay, I saw, like, a little area behind him." So I walked in, went in, I'm pickpocketing him. I didn't realize there was a security guard, like, in that area. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And then,
Right.
I got caught.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole mission was amazing how they pulled it off. I
Mhm.
thought that was one of the slickest COD missions in years. Just how they had all the other elements of every like team member pulling off their part and how it ends up all working together. Um, I thought it was sick. I totally forgot about Case,
Mhm.
how he was just
I
getting
was
like the shit beat
shit,
out of him.
yeah.
Yeah. And I was
Sacrificed
so wrapped
himself.
yeah, I was so wrapped up in everything else. I was like, "Oh, dude, here we go." And we're
Mhm.
enjoying it. And then they're like, "Oh, it's time for Case to make his move." When they're like in the safe, I'm like, "Wait, what?" It's like,
Yeah,
"Oh
yeah.
yeah, I forgot he's getting murked."
Mhm. Oh,
Um,
that was a vault one, right? Are we talking about different ones? That was a vault mission.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
isn't that aren't they part of the same one, like the casino in the vault, or no?
No, I'm pretty sure that they're separate.
Are they?
The casino
Because
was the beginning.
well, it's the beginning of the mission,
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah.
then
No,
it
like
goes like it ends up going to the vault at the bottom.
Am I tripping?
Bro, I'm pretty sure because I think how that mission goes is like you're doing all this stuff,
Mhm.
like up at the top, but you need to gain access to like the downstairs or like
I'm
gain
not thinking
access to
casino. I'm thinking the, um, fuck, what is it? The,
I don't
the
know.
gala, the gala. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get
no,
what you're
you're right,
saying.
yeah. I was thinking of the
Yeah.
gala when, you and Adler end up driving the motorcycles out, and
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
all
yeah,
your
yeah,
intel. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, those missions are right. Those are separate
That
ones.
was before.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, this one though, it's all just like one streamlined
Yeah,
mission,
yeah.
which it
You're playing poker and yeah, and f the Felix, like, you know, hacks a slot machine or whatever, and you go
yeah,
in and I hate when you don't have a weapon, like, fucking, like, I hate it.
yeah.
And, there was a lot of stealth missions in this, which I do like, but I kill everyone, dude, in these stealth missions. I'm not leaving them because if in my head, if there's a chance that you're gonna get caught, it's because I didn't kill that person. So I'm killing
Yeah.
everyone.
So, like, bro, like, that mission in the beginning that you were talking about, which, by the way, like, another phenomenal mission, that one when you have to take the photos,
Mm,
and you're pretending to be, like, a, photographer for some newspaper, I think,
yeah.
and you've gotta sneak around. Oh, dude, I tried so hard not to kill anybody through
Yeah.
that, but then I'm, like, finessing in between, like, the curtains, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to say, the AI in this game, like, the characters themselves, they're actually pretty good.
Mhm.
Like, their awareness is pretty solid, and, like, they could clearly see you, and they're like, "What?" And they
Yeah.
would walk over, and I'm like, "Fuck, dude."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Dude, I need some Assassin's Creed NPCs over
Yeah,
here, bro."
yeah, yeah.
These guys are too smart.
Mhm,
But I did the same thing, bro. I ended up killing, like, tons of people. But
mhm.
a good thing too, you could hide bodies. I was like,
Yeah, yeah. That
"Thank
I like that.
God."
You can pick them up and then move them around.
Right, right.
But I did like how in, like, those silent missions, you could obviously do them in silence, or you could just go rogue and just kill
Right.
all of them,
Yeah.
and make a ruckus. But yeah, that casino mission, I liked how when Felix, like, hacked the keypad and then got into the server room or whatever, dude, there were 3 guys, I think, inside there,
Oh,
and, like, I
dude.
opened the keypad, and this guy's standing right in front of the door. He's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "What am I supposed to do here?" Like, he doesn't
Dude,
turn around or anything.
I failed that part so many times. Like, thank God that, that checkpoint was right there because there's some guy that's, like, on the outside perimeter, and
Yeah.
then there are the people on the inside, and I'm like I figured out, I was like, "Dude, if I just run, if I haul ass down
Yeah.
this and beat this guy, then I can get in there." And every time you're in the middle of the code, it's just like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Oh,
what?"
whoop. Yeah, yeah.
But then I was a moron and I found when I just went left, there's like a vent you crawl under,
Mhm.
and then you can get behind him and kill him. I'm like, "Ah, there you
What?
go." Yeah.
I army crawled the whole time, like, underneath to the guy in the hallway and then
Yeah.
killed him, and then, I killed the second guy in one of the rooms with the computer that I had to hack,
Yeah.
and then, there was, like, a countdown or whatever, like, "Oh, you need to get out," and I just sprinted through. The guy
Yeah.
was like, "Who is that?" And I just
Yeah.
ran through the doorway. I was like, "Oh, not me."
Yeah, I totally blew my stealth when you went through like, you got to that underground area, like, right before the safe.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where, like, I tried so hard to be stealthy in there, and I just couldn't. I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, forget it. It's not gonna
Yeah.
happen here." Like, I just it took me, like, 25 minutes for me to finally figure out that I could just beat this in about 2 minutes if I just kill
Just kill
everybody,
that, yeah.
just go
I
loud.
I tried that too. The one with when you're Sev, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Mhm.
going into the vault, yeah. Dude, I went through the curtains, like, walking down the steps expecting, I don't know, it's gonna open up to an area where, like, I can go and hide. Then there's 2
Right.
guys right in front of you, and they're like,
Right.
"Who are you?" And then I ran back up
Yeah.
the stairs, um, and I ran through, and I think I did half of that, like, stealthy, and then someone caught me, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm over this. I'm just gonna
Right.
murk everyone."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that, That mission though, overall was phenomenal. I mean, I think that was probably my favorite mission in the whole game,
Mhm.
just because again, everybody was involved in it. It was funny. It had the stealth elements, and then it also had like the insane going loud moments. It pretty much had everything that makes up a Call of Duty campaign,
Mhm.
minus like, the one we were talking about where you get to ride out on motorcycles.
Yeah.
Like that
That was
that
cool. That
that
was
craziness, that's the
yeah.
only thing that that mission was missing, but otherwise, yeah,
Mhm.
it was phenomenal. Um, but yeah, after that, that's when you go to, Vorkuta and get
Mhm.
Harrow, and then I think after that, isn't that pretty much, like, you're in
You
the end game? Like,
yeah, so,
you do those missions with her
with
and
it
stuff like that?
yeah, and, yeah, you climb up the ladder, like you said, Harrow's there. She's like, "Oh, Case, like, you could've been with me, like, you didn't need to do this." And then, she gets flashbanged, and, we capture her.
It's
And
those
then
strong flashbangs, bro.
yeah, yeah. It wa
They didn't patch him yet.
she gets captured, gets brought to the Rook, and then, Woods, they inject her with this thing called separation, and that's what they call it, and it's,
Yeah.
her evil side and her moral side, and then you're playing as her, like, in her brain in this, like, fragmented world. Oh, dude, that the part where you get to the zombies, I did not like that part. That part was even, for me, like, freakier than the one where you have to get all the key cards.
Dude, I will tell you off the bat with that mission, when I hear like it's got all those weird strands on the
Yeah,
screen
yeah.
and you hear the
Oh,
like of the heart, I'm like,
yeah.
ooh.
Yeah.
Bro, that stuff just creeps me out. It gives I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah, that mission though, you're right. That was creepy as fuck. I hated
yeah,
that stuff.
literally we the area you get down to this area, and again, it's, um well, no, I guess I won't skip to that. Before that, you're getting this mirror, right? Fragments of mirrors. And she's going through reliving her childhood about what happened and like why she was like this, right? What happened was her mom and dad got killed as a kid, while she was a kid, in front of her, and this masked man that killed them supposedly was Adler. Um, I don't know. Was it Ashley Adler? Did they confirm it? Because then Troy was like, "This is not you, Jane. Like, it what? Do you know it was Adler? It wasn't Adler. We don't know." And then
I
I'm like, okay, so now you're making me question all this. So is she good or is she bad?
I loved I'll tell you with this, I loved how you have him and he's being like, "It's okay. I'm here.
Yeah,
Calm," whatever. And then Frank went, "Bullshit."
yeah,
He's like,
yeah,
"You know it wasn't him." He's like, "Why would he do that?"
yeah.
Like, they were so different. I thought it was
Hmm.
hilarious. No, I don't think, I don't I don't think it was at like, well, they didn't confirm or
Yeah.
deny it.
Hmm.
I think it was I was saying the same thing. When they said that, I was like, "Dude, what?
We're
No
working with this
way."
guy.
Yeah.
Or fuck him.
But to myself, I was like, "There's no way that he would be doing this and, like, working close with her,
Hmm.
like, in that connection."
Hmm.
I was just thinking, I was like, "There's no chance that that's what it is."
Hmm. I'm
But
like,
could be wrong. We'll have to find out in the future CODs.
oh yeah, exactly. And I'm like, why? I don't like. Why would he be killing, her parents? Like, what did they do? Or they knew something in the
Well,
CIA that.
goes back to what you were saying at the beginning, bro. It's like he's one of if there was anyone who would do it, it would be him
Yeah.
because he is like that guy where he's just they tell him what to do and he doesn't question it and he's just
Hmm.
gonna do it. And he like if she would ever cry about it, he's like, I don't care. I didn't
That
like
was
mean anything to
it
me.
was a
This is
mission.
just what I was told to do. Like,
Hmm.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I didn't have anything against them. I didn't even know who they were,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And so yeah, so that happens, and then you have to collect these fragments of the mirror,
Hmm.
and it's 4 pieces, I believe, if I remember right. And uh you have to do the oh no, it's 3 piece. Is it 3? 3 or 4
It's
pieces?
three or four pieces.
I wanna say it's 3. No,
I think you're
3? Dude, I can't remember. There's 3 or 4, but you have to go through a series of puzzles. Like, so the first one, you're back in Vorkuta, and you're, like, going through your, like, childhood memories, like,
mhm.
everything's It's all white, snowy, like, you have to go through, get these puzzles done. That wasn't bad. I'm like, "Alright, this is kinda creepy, but whatever." You get that done. And then the second one, was you're running through, like, an obstacle course, trying not to fall. I fell, like, twice.
Yeah.
Um, and then you get the shard. And then the last one that was super creepy was you're in this fucking facility just in the dark. And when the prompt showed up, like, turn on your flashlight. I turned on my flashlight and it was a little bulb. I was like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, bro. That stuff pissed me off so much. I was playing that and I'm like, "Bro, this ain't even scary." I'm like, "This is just fucking stupid."
Yeah.
Like, come on, you're telling me my flashlight in the dark only sees that much? Like, come
Yeah.
on now,
And
you
I'm
know?
like,
Good thing we had a gun though.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, what's gonna happen? Like doing this. And I'm looking around, I see like other mannequins, and I'm thinking, okay, so some zombie thing, right? And you go and you turn on the generators. There's 4 generators you have to go turn on, and Evil Jane is a zombie's like running after you.
Right.
um, that I didn't like either because it would just pop up, and there was one specific area in the generator where it was sort of a maze that you have to go
Yes.
through. Dude,
Yep.
I was jumping around corners, shooting. I was like, "You're not popping up on me." Like,
Dude, the funniest part was I remember when you turned off the generator, there was a ramp and I just jumped up and was like cheesing on top of the like of the whole maze. I'm like, I'm not going back through that maze.
yeah,
Like,
no.
no chance. I'm just gonna run on top of the maze.
Mhm. And
Um,
there was a generator inside the bin. I'm like,
yeah,
"Okay, so I gotta go in, it's one by one." Like,
yeah.
I turn on the generator, guess what? I'm gonna turn around, what, they're gonna come after me? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's exactly
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah, yeah, that whole area where, like, in that, I guess, part of the game was cool because they did have the puzzles and then,
Mhm.
again, adding the zombies kinda back in. There was the other I think there was the last, piece of the glass that you have to get where you're, like, fighting a whole bunch of zombies, like, in that
Yeah.
sand pit kind of a deal, you know?
Yeah,
And you had, like, suicide bomber zombies
mhm.
running after you. Where they killed me, like, more times than I want to admit.
They killed me
Um,
once in the beginning.
yeah,
I didn't know they were.
I was pissed. I was, like, trying to shoot them from afar, and I'm, like, too close. I'm like, "Bro, what?"
Mhm.
Um but yeah, you do all that and put it back together, and then you find out, I guess it's really just her backstory that her parents were murdered. You don't know why they were murdered, other than what you do learn. She joined the CIA to really find out what happened to them,
Mhm.
and really doesn't find anything until she gets a slip of like a floppy disk that gets put underneath her desk
Mhm.
and or underneath her door to her office, and it shows everything, saying, like, they had files on her parents and,
They
I
were
guess
executed.
right, yeah, and it was like it was all, like,
This this
purposely planned to be a
yeah.
cover up.
Mhm.
She still doesn't know who did it,
Mhm.
but learns that, like, there is some organization within there, which is Pantheon, and that's kind of how it all comes to a head,
Mhm.
and then as that happens, you're trying to get more, she's tripping out,
Mhm.
and then that's when
Well,
when Pantheon,
so
comes in, right?
yeah, yeah. But Pantheon's the one that gave her
Oh,
the
yeah,
evidence.
Pantheon's one, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
About
correct.
the CIA covered up
Right,
her parents' murder, and Pantheon was the one that was like, "Hey, here you go. This was a cover up." And then that's when she decided, like, "All right, I'm gonna be a traitor from the inside and
yeah,
work with Pantheon to figure out what actually happened."
right,
Um, and then that whole cradle thing was her trying to destroy the CIA from the inside, and
yeah,
her like revenge. But yeah, while this was happening, uh, you, Case, the entire team, Troy, Seth, and Felix are defending the Rook off from all these Pantheon soldiers. They're just coming in waves. Um, I don't think it was like overall like it wasn't that bad. Uh,
no,
I was using the sniper. It was pretty fun just picking them off. The annoying people were obviously the riot shield guys,
I hate the Ratio,
because
yeah,
they
so
had armor too. And I feel like in this campaign they introduced more people with armor, which is whatever. They're more annoying to kill at times, but it's a
uh,
nice touch.
And they also had the, RC guys, the
Mhm,
RCXD guys. They were a pain in the ass. Yeah, just like there I think there were like 2 or 3 enemy types with a ton of armor.
mhm.
Um, but they didn't give you a shortage of weapons, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
no,
bro,
no.
you load up, it's like every weapon you could ever imagine. I'm like, "Okay, this won't how bad could this be?" You
Yeah,
know?
and you can pick whatever type of weapon you wanna, like, play with. You wanna
Right.
run up and gun all of them. I was just
Yeah.
sitting back picking every single one off.
Yeah, now it wasn't too bad, but I'm trying to even think what happens because that whole fight goes down, and then they end up. I think when you're on the outside, defending some outside perimeter, some of them get inside and they take her
Mhm.
and stab Frank.
Yeah, Jane
Right?
does.
Yeah,
Jane stabs Frank and, Woods, and we're like, "Oh shit, is he gonna die like this?"
yeah.
Because he gets
Well,
knocked
actually,
out of
no.
his wheelchair.
This whole thing happened yeah, this happens, after you go and you blow up the bridge and Felix gets shot, and
Yeah.
bro, I had a feeling Felix was gonna die,
Mhm.
but doesn't really say if he dies, but he got shot. I'm like, "Yep, not
Yeah.
surprised, bro. He's the weakest character of
Yeah.
all these." I'm like, "He's a
Mhm.
dope character, but
Yeah.
we don't know him as well."
No, he
I'm
was
like,
good.
"Sure."
We dragged him off that bridge, and you were like, who was it? Troy, and you were like, "Woods, Woods, we gotta go back in," and Felix was like, "I'm alright, just go."
Yeah,
And,
yeah, so yeah,
yeah,
that
you
was
run back
cool.
in,
And then,
and
what do you I'm trying to think after that because you get well, yeah, Frank's laying there and he's just like, "I'm fine, go."
yeah, yeah,
And then you're with Troy, and then, she's getting in the
he's getting
chopper,
away.
and Case just goes full, like, New York City Marathon dude,
Zombie mode.
runs down there
Yeah.
yeah, straight up, and he runs and jumps into the, chopper. That
Mhm.
whole sequence was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, homie's in midair, and he's
Yeah.
jumping over to the other side. I was like, "Bro." But, I mean, hey, I guess he's the super soldier, so it makes sense.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, that ending bit was crazy because obviously, he ends up killing her, but it's like how he does it. The
Mhm.
helicopter goes down and then the cradle case breaks.
Mhm.
And for what I don't know why she had that. I
Mhm.
guess she was just gonna go and release it in DC.
Yeah,
Uh,
she
you
was.
know,
Yeah.
um, but he goes and smashes it over her head, and then he, like, changes,
Mhm.
into, I guess, that insane, person that was being experimented on, and he just chokes the shit out of her
Mhm.
and kills her. Much like I was watching a thing before this guy was like, if you remember back in I think it was Black Ops I wanna say it's Black Ops 1, um, it's Black Ops 1 or yeah, it's gotta be Black Ops 1, with that guy Dragovich
Mhm.
when you choke him out and, like, you mercilessly do it,
Mhm.
some guy was like, "It's the exact same way." I was like, "It's pretty cool."
Mhm.
Don't think it has anything to do with that,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but, yeah, he kills her, and then that's the end of the game, which is
Yeah,
pretty dope.
and then, when that happened, it was like yeah, it cut to Woods and Troy going back talking to Livingston,
Yeah, like
and
2 weeks later or something, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, 2 weeks later, and Livingston said, basically, "Thank you for, getting rid of this biological weapon, but there's a lot like, way more work to do." And then, there's a cutscene, and it cuts to this, guy that's, like, on a computer, and then it just ends. And when this happened, I was like, first off, who the fuck like, I didn't know who this guy was. Um, and that kinda pissed me off that I didn't know who it was. So, looked it up obviously and stuff, and supposedly he was, like, in the mission at one point, and he's, like, part of the Pantheon. He was in, like, the, casino mission. Or no, not casino mission, the gala mission as, like, a security guard.
See, I looked this up too as to who this guy is on the computer at the end,
Mhm,
and I've heard a bunch of things. I've seen that people are saying it's Case.
mhm.
I saw someone also say that I think it was, Alex Mason,
I saw that too. I didn't
and
believe
then
that.
yeah, and then there was somebody else, that this guy did a really good breakdown. He's in the interrogation right in the beginning.
Mhm,
It looks exactly like this guy.
mhm,
He's, like, recording the whole conversation,
mhm,
and it's just a question of, is that guy Case
mhm.
that's there, or is he some other character, like, who is he, you know?
Mhm.
That's obviously gonna be something I would imagine, and I honestly hope that they set this up in the seasons, and they continue the story because that would be sick. You
Mhm.
know, if you get to get a little bit more backstory on the Pantheon thing
Mhm.
and find out who this guy is, through that, and then they could set it up for the next COD.
Yeah.
But yeah, the question is, who is that guy? I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah, and the mission where, like, Jane's gone and, like, we don't know if Case is gone, that's the thing, like,
Mhm.
people were saying that they're both dead. I mean, they were in a freaking helicopter crash underwater, uh, and we'd like to imagine that they're both dead, but they just left that, up in the air as they do. So we don't really know if Case is like actually gone, but this guy, I'd imagine they're gonna continue this story in a way that I don't want them to, unless they bring back the uh what were they called in MW2? The mini missions that we talked
Oh,
about.
yeah, I can't remember. I know what you're talking about, though.
I can't remember. We were hyping them up for a while, but
Oh, yeah. Wow. How do we forget what those were called, bro?
I don't remember.
That whole mode that they had.
It wasn't even a mode, it was just, like, mini missions during the season that they released. Like, it was a three-part.
It wasn't Spec Ops, though. It
No, no,
wasn't
no.
that.
Yeah. Um, but, Treyarch, I think they did a really great job with the campaign, but the ending for me, like, I was like, "Who is this guy?" And they left it on a cliffhanger, like, I don't know who it is, but I wanna know how they're gonna continue, this because the fact that Case we don't know if it is dead or not, could be up in the air. He could return in, like, a season as a character or whatever, right? And you know how
Right.
they do the little short, like, cutscenes of whatever? Um,
Right.
I hope it's not just, like, that in the seasons, like, for Warzone, I was reading some stuff that, oh, they're gonna continue the story in the lead up into the Warzone seasons,
Right.
which I personally, I do not want it all. I want like a full fledged out like mini campaign of this, which I don't know if we'll get or not. But I think there's a lot of open ended questions about Case, if he's going to be a character. For all we know, Jane could end up being a skin or something, and of her like evil self, right? Like
That would be sick.
Case killed her, but she's now like the zombie version or whatever.
Right. Right. Yeah, side note, it was the Adam grad.
Yeah, yeah, but what were they,
It was there were, like, raids. It says 4
raids, yeah,
raids, and
raids, that's what it was, yeah,
yeah,
the
there we
raid
go. Just
episodes,
told
yeah.
exactly.
Adam
We just
Brad
had
was
a
a story.
yeah. Um, but yeah, to your point though, um, I don't know. I wonder where they're gonna go with it. There is a part of me that wants to get that backstory, but if they completely flesh the story out and almost finish the story within the seasons, I'm gonna be pissed
Mhm,
because then I feel like it's just not gonna be that great. I'm like, I'd rather have a whole dedicated COD where they continue this. And
mhm,
I would say, like, wrapping up this review on it, what I think they did such a good job with this campaign compared to last year's is they set this up for a new campaign. It's
yeah,
like, okay, like I'm actually interested in, all right, we had Pantheon, but we don't really know jack about them. I was surprised you didn't really get to hear anybody about like who started it, who's the leader of this
mhm.
group, you know, um, any of that stuff. So there's a lot of unanswered questions with it that we can easily set up in a sequel.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, and, like, I still don't trust Livingston, my opinion, like, seems sketchy. He
Yeah.
could just be an asshole, but I think, he's still hiding something, uh, compared to the ending because he was like,
Yeah.
"There's a new enemy now, like, that we're not even aware of." I'm like, "Okay, well."
Right.
It's setting up so many different questions for the next COD or whatever, the sequel, like you
Right.
said. But I mean, yeah, I finished the campaign yesterday. Um, I finished it in 2 sittings, um, which
Easy.
is pretty I think that's pretty standard for most COD
Mhm.
campaigns, and I was engaged the entire time, which like I definitely can say I liked because compared to last year, it definitely was not like that. Because there are some missions
Right.
where I'm like, all right, we got to get these over with. The like open world ones. This game had that, but I think they executed it in the best way that they could, and I wasn't like, oh my god, I need to do this. Like this is so stupid. Trying to rush through, and they had a good mix of wrecking havoc and then stealth missions. You know, so I'd rate this campaign overall like it was a really good campaign.
Yeah, I'd put it in like probably an 8.5, 8.8, somewhere around there. I mean, I think this is honestly one of the best COD campaigns we've had in recent years. I would even say just in general, I think it's a phenomenal campaign. There's very few flaws with it. Again, the big mapped like missions that they had were not my favorite. That's probably the only drawback I would have with it, honestly. But even still, those were so much more fleshed out compared to last year's campaign. So uh, there really for me were like no weak points with this campaign. It was like Treyarch cooked on this one.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree. Like this is I'd probably give it like an 8.5 too. It's definitely at least an 8. Um,
Oh,
in
no
my
doubt.
book, and they kept me engaged. And I like how at the ending of the credits, it was Treyarch put a note out saying like, I hope everybody like enjoyed this campaign. Like we worked really hard on it, blah blah blah. And I think that was I don't know if it was a PR thing, but it seemed like Treyarch realized, look, there have been a bad couple of years,
Hmm.
but we got it.
Right, right, right,
Like
right.
we're gonna fix it with this game.
It's like thank God you guys came in when you did.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, so far, campaign was really good. Multiplayer so far is really good. And next thing up for us is the zombies.
Yeah, we gotta play more zombies.
We haven't even
That's
touched
our
them. Well, you
no.
you and I together. Um,
Yeah,
but that's gonna be fun because now we can work on the Easter egg. Like I don't know anything about the Easter egg
yeah, me
at
either.
all. Like I don't even know anything about the maps really either. So
Yeah,
uh that will be our next mission to accomplish that at some point.
right.
And
We'll
yeah,
be talking about it.
yeah. And overall, let us know what you guys think about this campaign, like what you guys rated out of 10. Because yeah, I think you and I can rate this like solid 8.5.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. And let us know what you like and dislike about it because I wonder if there are people that actually do like the open world, stuff where you can go and do a couple of these like little missions. Or do you like the straight linear missions like us, where we get straight to the point. You don't need to do like these small little like side tasks. It's just mission to mission to mission.
Right.
Um, but yeah, you got
I think
anything?
that'll do it, bro.
Yeah. Uh,
That's it.
Treyarch, thank you. You did
Yeah,
a great
I know,
job.
right?
Thank you. Because last year, I remember when we did our campaign review. God, that was bad.
That was rough.
Worst Call of
Yeah.
Duty campaign they ever
Yeah.
created.
Yeah. And now we're going to this. I'm like, dude, this could be in the top
Yeah,
5. I mean, this was
yeah.
damn good.
Like this is how you end a campaign.
Yeah,
Sledgehammer.
exactly.
Just so you
Yeah.
know.
You go to Sledgehammer, you show them like this
Yeah,
is how it's
yeah.
done.
I thought they were gonna kill Woods, and I was like, no, fuck it. They're gonna kill
Me
Woods. They're gonna kill a guy that got knocked down in the wheelchair, and you're just gonna kill him like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
No, they didn't kill him. So I was like, thank
Thank
God.
God. I was like, dude, the cheap thrills of these kills are not going to continue. I'm like, dude, like, come on, we can't kill off Woods. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just not going to happen.
Dude was in a wheelchair, and she just stabbed him. That's how he's
Yeah,
gonna die. This
yeah, I'm
hero.
like, yeah, legit.
Like, and Felix lives from like,
Yeah, yeah, he gets shot.
yeah. But no,
Yeah,
Treyarch, thank you. Thank you for giving us a great experience.
yeah, of course.
um, but yeah, no, if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think about this campaign. Rate it out of 10 for us. Let us know what you like and dislike about it. We're also on anchor.fm/the COD Casuals, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. And leave a 5-star rating on all that because it does help us out a ton. And we're also on TikTok and Instagram Reels. So if you don't listen to the whole thing, we chop it up and put it all there and go watch it over there. Oh, and also we have the X community, so go join us there. We'll be talking more about the campaign and just whatever stuff. Like, it seems like a lot of people are engaging in it more, so we
Yep.
appreciate that, and we want to create like a community where we just talk about COD and bullshit and like all that stuff. Um, we're all casuals, so don't be
Yep.
afraid to say anything.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's it, bro.
Yep. Well, thank you, everyone. This has been episode 196 of the COD Casuals. We're your host, Justin,
And I'm Mike.
and we'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.